Love. That's the first thing I hear through the phone. The word slurred, like someone trying to speak through a mouthful of broken glass. The voice isn't hers, but somehow, it's close enough that my stomach clenches. It's a drunken voice on the other end of the line. Someone calling from her number, stumbling through words I can't quite make out. Everything feels sideways in that moment. A late-night ring, a hazy croaking voice that keeps repeating the same syllable. Love, love, love. Like a stuck record. I press the phone tighter to my ear, trying to catch a clue. My heart is pounding. Hello. I manage, my voice cracking at 2:00 a.m., or whatever unholy hour it is. It's just love. Man, she told me. It's just love. I recognize a background noise. A bar, maybe. Bottles clinking, faint music, the hum of conversation. Then a muffled laugh. Not hers. No, definitely not Sarah's laugh. It's deeper, male. And it's taunting. I steady myself, leaning against the kitchen counter. My bare feet press into the cold tiles, anchoring me before I say something I'll regret. Who are you? I hiss. Why are you on my wife's phone? There's a lull. The heavy breath. Then a click. Line goes dead. I'm left with the beep, 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 a sound that drills into my skull and sets the tone for what's about to become the darkest days of my life. I stand there, shirtless, flannel pajama bottoms hanging off my waist, phone clutched so hard my knuckles turn white. The digital clock above the stove reads 2:17 a.m. Sarah isn't home. She said she was pulling extra hours on a project in the city, some high-profile nonprofit event that demanded last-minute PR coverage. God, I should believe her. I want to believe her. But there was a time. Years ago, she promised me we'd always be honest with each other. That word love repeating in the mouth of some drunken stranger. That's not what honesty sounds like. I want to call her, blow up her phone, demand an explanation. But I also know the look she gives me when I question her. That sad, half-pitying glance that says, Michael, you worry too much. She's told me that for years. Don't overthink, she used to say with a reassuring smile. Trust me, we're partners in this. Partners. Right. I slump into a chair at our small kitchen table. My mind replays the sound of that voice, the way it stammered love, like it was an inside joke. My stomach churns. I try to push the phone call out of my head, force my thoughts onto anything else. Tomorrow's meeting at the marketing firm, the big presentation I have to finalize. But every time I close my eyes, I see Sarah's face, and I hear that man's slurred ramble mocking me in a single poisonous word. Love. An hour passes, maybe two. I'm not sure. My watch is on the counter, and the phone is still in my hand, lifeless. No messages from her, no missed calls. Finally, the front door opens. I can hear it from here, that squeaky hinge I've been meaning to fix. Her footsteps are light, almost tentative. I don't move from the table. The overhead light casts a sickly glow on the linoleum floor. She pokes her head in, sees me there in my pajamas, my eyes probably red-rimmed from exhaustion or rage. Maybe both. She stands with the door partially open, letting in a whisper of cool night air. There's a suitcase by her side. She sets it gently on the floor. I'm sorry, Michael, she whispers. I try to call. The battery died. Her words. I blink at her. My chest tightens. Part of me wants to believe she's telling the truth about the battery. But the phone call, the voice, it's swirling in my head. I clench my jaw so tightly my molars ache. Strange, I say. My voice quivers. Somebody just called me from your number. A drunk man. Kept saying love, love, love. Then he hung up. She flinches, her eyes darting to her phone in her purse, rummaging hastily. I must have lost it, or... She's stammering. She never stammers. Sarah, my wife, the queen of composure in any PR crisis, is at a loss for words in our own kitchen. I'm about to demand answers, but I swallow them back. Let's talk in the morning, I whisper, standing up, my knees shaky. It's late. Her expression sags with relief, or maybe disappointment. She expected me to hurl accusations, perhaps. But I'm so tired that anger is a dull blade right now. I just want to sink into my bed, or maybe the couch, and pretend for a few hours that my life isn't unraveling at the seams. Sarah steps toward me. Her perfume lingers, and in that moment, I notice a faint trace of something else. Like men's cologne. Sharp, foreign. It clings to her jacket. My stomach rolls. I rub my eyes, turning away as she tries to touch my arm. Michael. I move past her without a word, trudging upstairs. My breath feels shallow, as though I'm caught in a narrow, airless corridor. I keep imagining the man's voice in my ear. Love, love. And I swallow the taste of betrayal rising like bile. Next morning, I nurse a cup of coffee on the porch steps, an old habit from my days in Ohio, before we moved to Texas. The sky is just beginning to glow with dawn's early light, and the coffee's lukewarm at best. I stare into the mug, swirl its contents. There's no peace in me today, not even the fleeting comfort that coffee usually brings. Sarah appears behind me, suitcase in hand again. My chest tightens. She sets the suitcase down at the edge of the porch. She's wearing a crisp, sky-blue blouse and tailored pants, hair neatly brushed, makeup applied to hide any sign of a late night. She looks professional, as if heading to an office job. She clears her throat. I have to leave for a few days. The event is bigger than I expected. Her voice wobbles on expected, and I see her fingers flex around the suitcase handle. Tony, my co-organizer, he got hammered last night, and well, that was probably him who called. I'm sorry. He must have used my phone. I recall seeing Tony at the last corporate function I attended with Sarah. Slick hair, unwavering grin, that kind of bold handshake that tries to crush your knuckles. I remember him laughing at my jokes, too eagerly, maybe, borrowing my lighter outside when we took a break from the reception, asking me questions about Sarah's schedule. A flutter of dread ignites in my gut. She meets my gaze, her eyes wavering. It's just work, she says, her voice controlled, intentionally calm. You know how these nonprofits can be. They're counting on me. Something about the way she says it, it's just work, makes my throat close. That phrase has become her shield, an all-purpose explanation for late nights, phone calls, mysterious text messages. I nod stiffly. I can't force myself to look at her fully. If I did, I might see something in her eyes, a confession, or maybe a challenge, and that would be too much for me right now. Instead, I keep my gaze on the chipped paint of the porch steps, notice a tiny ant crawling across. She lingers, waiting for me to say something, but all I manage is a short, "Take care." And just like that, she leaves. The car door slams, engine rumbles, and I'm left holding my cold coffee. The early sun slants across the lawn, and I'm alone with my suspicions. I feel them like crows perched on my shoulders, pecking at my thoughts. A week passes in a blur of uneasy quiet. Work is frantic, giving presentations in a boardroom full of half-asleep clients, but my mind is elsewhere. Each night, I come home to an empty house. The faint smell of her perfume lingers in our bedroom. I don't open her closet, can't even bear to see her clothes. I feel like an intruder in my own marriage. Then, exactly a week after she left, a package arrives. Delivered by a courier around noon, the label is addressed to Sarah, not me. Usually, I just place it on the table and let her open it whenever she gets back. But something in me snaps, or maybe it's a slow, careful unraveling that's been happening all along. I stare at that box on the counter for a full minute before taking a knife and slicing it open. Inside is a small velvet case, 2 bracelets, both slender and obviously custom-made. One has an engraving, SJ, her initials. The other has TR. I stand there, blinking, trying to process the second set of initials. TR Tony Ruiz. My hand trembles. My heart is a drumbeat in my ears, growing so loud it drowns out rational thought. That old, roiling fury churns in my gut, but instead of exploding, it just simmers, like lava creeping under the surface. I place the bracelets carefully on the table. They glint under the kitchen light. It's so tidy, so brazen. They ordered matching bracelets, like teenage sweethearts. Why? I whisper, voice cracking in the silent house. Why would she do this? On top of everything else, there's another envelope at the bottom of the box. Plain, stamped. I open it with shaking fingers. It's from a private lab. The heading reads, PTRNITYTST. My name is nowhere on the sheet, but it says inconclusive paternal match, or non-match. Medical jargon aside, it's clear. The father is not who it was presumed to be. Jesus Christ. My voice echoes. My mind leaps to 1,000 scenarios. We never had children. Sarah once had a miscarriage, and after that, well, we never tried again. The test. Could it be that she got pregnant recently? Or is it from some hidden time, some hidden child? My thoughts are a chaos of half-formed questions. I close my eyes, forcing the swirl of confusion to quiet. The word Tony surfaces in my mind. The image of him at that corporate party, leaning in to chat with me about my jokes. That big grin, borrowing my lighter. Probably thinking about how easy it was to get close to me, to watch me turn my back while he slid into Sarah's life. I don't scream. I don't smash plates. I just stand there in the middle of the kitchen, the hush of the midday sun streaming in. That evening, I arranged the bracelets on the dining table, side by side. Then I placed the lab results next to them. No theatrics, no dramatic meltdown. It's just me, a glass of whiskey in my hand, waiting. The house is dimly lit. The dog, Baxter, naps by my feet. Around 9:00 p.m., I hear her car. My pulse spikes. I picture her stepping inside, seeing those items on the table. Will she break down? Will she try to deny it? The door opens and closes softly. She calls my name, voice uncertain, but I don't reply. Finally, she enters the dining area. She sees me sitting there, sees the velvet case open and the lab report. Her eyes go wide. Then her face goes pale. "Michael," she breathes. Let me explain. I tap the rim of my glass, letting the silence stretch. My throat feels tight, and I can't speak. Not yet. She reaches for the envelope, scanning its contents, swallowing hard. Then she looks at the bracelets. She starts again, voice trembling. "It's not what you think." A bitter laugh escapes me. Short, harsh. "Not what I think. So the test, the bracelets with your initials and his, that's just work too. It's not what it looks like." She tries to speak, but no words come. Her eyes glimmer with tears. This is the first time I've seen her so unguarded. She steps closer, puts a hand on the back of a chair for support. "Michael, I was going to tell you," she says, her tone urgent. But I was terrified. I made a mistake. I cut her off, my voice rough. "Remember when you once told me? Trust me. We're partners. That was years ago, Sarah. Now you're telling me about a mistake with Tony. A man who calls me drunk from your phone, who sends you jewelry, who, God knows, had a paternity test done in your name. I can't even wrap my mind around this." She flinches. "I never intended. It just happened. It didn't mean anything, not really. Tony, he was pushy, and I was vulnerable. I swear. That test, he insisted. He thought I might be pregnant, but it was a false alarm. I didn't even want him to order that stupid lab kit. Michael, please, it's..." I stand abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Baxter, startled, lifts his head. "Don't," I say. "Don't ask me to understand." She stares, silent. I whisper her name. "Sarah." I let it hang in the air, void of emotion. Then I echo her old phrase, but coldly. "Don't worry. It's just work, right? Her eyes spill tears. She tries to approach, but I step back, the friction of the worn carpet under my soles. My mind is a storm of conflicting emotions. Rage, betrayal, heartbreak, pity, confusion. My chest heaves, but I speak softly. I'm not going to shout. I'm not going to break things. I don't have any words left for you. She opened her mouth, but nothing comes out. She looks shattered, as though she expected a violent reaction, maybe even wanted it to purge her guilt. Instead, she faces the emptiness of my silent condemnation. The next few days become a slow, excruciating dance of avoidance and cold civility. I move through the house like a ghost, sleeping on the couch or in the guest room. I say very little. She tries to apologize, to explain, begs me to talk. But I keep my responses clipped, monotone. I still go to work, feed Baxter, keep the lawn trimmed. From the outside, maybe everything looks normal. But inside, I feel like my life is an abandoned building. My entire existence up to this point, a lie. Or so it feels. She attempts to talk over dinner. She sits across from me, her plate barely touched. Michael, I'm going to end it with Tony. There's nothing left to continue. It was a stupid fling that spiraled out of control. Please, say something. I push my food around, hardly tasting it. Then I drop my fork, stand up, and walk away. She calls after me. Michael, I still love you. That word again, love, used by the drunken voice, used by her now like some battered currency. I head outside, leash Baxter, and walk into the evening air. My footsteps on the pavement echo the hollow ache in my chest. Oddly enough, I recall the corporate function where I first met Tony. We were standing near the buffet table, waiting for fresh drinks. He gave me a bright smile, said, "Hey man, you're Sarah's husband, right? Heard a lot about you." At the time, I felt a flicker of pride. Sarah spoke about me to her colleagues. She was that kind of wife, one who praised me behind my back. So I believed. Tony asked for my lighter, then told some story about how he used to smoke in college but quit. We joked about office politics. He complimented my sense of humor. The whole time, Sarah was across the room, wearing a black cocktail dress, radiant with confidence. I felt lucky that night. So lucky. Now that memory tastes like rust and old blood. In the hush of early morning, just before the alarm clock goes off, I lie awake, listening to Sarah's soft breathing in the other room. That's when I decide I can't just let this fester. I need to see it for myself, confront the truth head-on. If I don't, I'll drown in my own suspicions and unanswered questions. That same day, I take some personal time off work, telling them I have a family emergency. Then I start making calls. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Maybe I'm hoping Tony will slip up or reveal something if I track him down. Maybe I just want to see him face to face, confirm he's real. He picks up on the third ring, sounding alert and chipper, like a guy who's got everything under control. Tony speaking. My mouth goes dry. For a second, I can't answer. Then I say, quietly, "This is Michael, Sarah's husband." Silence. I can almost hear him weighing his words. "Michael, right. I've been expecting your call." I grit my teeth. "So you know." A slow exhale. "Yeah. Look, man, I didn't mean for you to find out like this. But Sarah and we had a connection. It's complicated. I didn't set out to cause trouble." His voice is annoyingly smooth, but with a hint of guilt creeping in. I close my eyes, pressing fingers to my temple. Cut the crap. You called me from her phone. Drunk off your ass, ranting about love. That's how I found out Tony. He's quiet a second. I was wasted. I regret that. Then he surprises me. "Where do you want to meet? I'll talk to you, man to man. I owe you that." I can't believe it. Is he trying to be honorable now? A bitter laugh escapes me. "Fine." I say. "There's a small diner, Redwoods, Off the highway near Old Town. Half an hour. Done, he replies. I hang up, my heart pounding. I grab my jacket and keys, ignoring the trembling in my hands. Redwood's Diner is a relic from the 80s, a place that used to serve truckers and passing salesmen. The neon sign is half burnt, reading Ardwoods. I park in the dusty lot, scanning the vehicles. A shiny black sedan, definitely something nicer than the usual crowd, sits near the entrance. Probably Tony's. Inside, I spot him at a corner booth. He's wearing a pressed button-down shirt, open collar, no tie, hair carefully groomed. The smell of coffee and bacon grease hangs in the air. My palms sweat as I walk over. He stands to greet me, a forced politeness in his eyes. I see him register my tense shoulders, my clenched jaw. We sit. A waitress in a faded pink uniform slides 2 menus onto the table, but neither of us picks them up. Michael, he says quietly. I appreciate you coming. I look at him. Tony's younger than me. By about 8 years, I guess. He's got this confident posture that I recognize from men in sales. He knows how to pitch, how to charm. You said you owed me an explanation, I mutter, leaning forward, bracing my arms on the table. So talk, but don't lie. I've had enough lies. He nods, swallows. All right. Sarah and I were working on a fundraiser. We spent a lot of late nights together, brainstorming. She told me about her marriage, how she felt, maybe disconnected. At first, I was just a friend, a colleague offering an ear. Then one thing led to another. It wasn't planned. I force myself to breathe. My chest tightens with anger, but I keep my voice low, controlled. She said it was a fling that got out of hand, that you insisted on a paternity test. He gives a small nod. I thought she might be pregnant. She was late. She told me so. I freaked out. I mean, that changes everything, right? She said she wasn't sure whose, if that were the case. So I pressed for a test. Turns out it was a false alarm, but by then I'd already ordered the kit. She was furious with me. My hands twitch, wanting to grab him by the collar, smash his smug face into the table. But I hold back. And the bracelets. I hiss. You have the nerve to buy matching bracelets with my wife's initials and yours. What is that? Some twisted trophy. His cheeks redden. I admit, that was stupid. I wanted something personal. I guess I was in too deep. I thought maybe, I don't know, that she'd leave you. We talked about it, you know, a future. But she always said it was complicated. He spreads his palms in a gesture of helplessness. My teeth grind. My entire body trembles with rage. Yet I keep my voice level. So you and she, how long? He hesitates. 6 months. Closer to 7, actually. I flinch. Hearing that is like a blade twisting in my gut. 7 months. In that time, she's told me countless times about extra hours, weekend trips, conferences. All the while, she was with him. I press my fists on the table. Did you love her? Or was this some game for you? He sighs. Love. It felt real in the moment, but now, I don't know. Maybe it was lust, or the thrill of something new. I'm not proud of it. I swear I never meant to humiliate you. A searing hatred flares in me. You used my wife, my life. Did you laugh behind my back? At that corporate function, you pretended to be my friend. He rubs his temple. Michael, I know nothing I say will make this right. Maybe hearing it from me can help you understand that Sarah didn't set out to hurt you. She's torn up over this. She told me she still loves you, that she can't leave you. The word love again, hammered into my skull. My breath hitches. He's the last person I want to hear say that Sarah loves me. It's an insult, a brand of shame. I force myself to stand. We're done here. He looks up, half rising from his seat. Michael, if you ever need. I slam my fist on the table, making the silverware clatter. The waitress glances over warily. I hiss under my breath. I don't need anything from you. You stay away from her. You stay away from us. Then I turn and march out, leaving him there with an unpaid check and whatever worthless remorse he brought with him. My heart is pounding so hard I can barely see straight. Outside, the midday sun blazes, and the dust in the parking lot stings my eyes. I climb into my car, grip the steering wheel until my knuckles ache. I feel destroyed. But somewhere, a savage spark flickers. I won't be the same man who let them walk all over me. Sarah always told me I overthink, that I'm too cautious. Now, I taste a new anger that ignites something else. A grim sense of purpose. When I get home, Baxter barks in greeting, tail wagging. I kneel down, bury my face in his warm fur, letting out a ragged exhale. I envy the dog's innocence, how everything is simple for him. Food, walks, a place to sleep. After a moment, I stand, running my hand over my stubbled jaw. The living room is quiet, curtains half drawn. Sarah won't be back until the evening. I glance around, noticing pictures on the mantel. Our wedding photo. She's radiant in her white gown, me in a rented tux, eyes shining with naive hope. Another photo from our 10th anniversary, smiling at a beach resort. I take them all down, one by one, and set them face down on a side table. For hours, I pace the house, consumed by a restless energy. Scenes flicker in my head. Sarah laughing with Tony. Sarah in bed with him. My mind conjures it in excruciating detail. My fists clench involuntarily. I want to strike at something, do something. But I also know my anger can't fix a damn thing. Finally, late that afternoon, I hear her key in the lock. She steps in, looks at me warily. "You're home early," she says, tension in her voice. I just nod. Yeah. My tone is flat. She sets her purse down, eyes flicking around as though she senses a change in the atmosphere. I think she notices the missing photos. Her gaze lingers on the empty mantel. She opens her mouth, hesitates, then says quietly, "Did you speak to Tony?" I nod again. Silence. She steps closer, her brow furrowed. "He texted me. Said he met with you." "Look, Michael. I don't want to see him anymore. I told him it's over. I'm done with that." My voice scrapes my throat. "You should have been done months ago." She stares down at her shoes. "I'm sorry." A spike of anger surfaces. "You're sorry. I'm sorry that I'm such a damn fool, Sarah. Sorry that I stood by, trusting you. While you..." I stop, exhaling through my nose. "What did you see in him?" She lifts her gaze, tears glistening. "He was exciting. He listened to me in a way I thought you didn't anymore. We come home from work and barely talk. You had your routines, your newspaper, your daily walk with Baxter. I felt invisible. It doesn't excuse what I did. It just explains it." I bark a bitter laugh. "Explanations don't fix anything." She nods, wiping her eyes. "I know. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." I stare at her, unspeaking. For a moment, I see the woman I married, vulnerable, wanting acceptance. But the next second, all I can see is betrayal. The wound is too raw. She takes a shaky breath. "Talk to me, Michael. Yell at me if you have to. Just don't shut me out. Please." I remember how she used to say, "We're in this together," whenever life threw us curveballs. Now, I say nothing. I walk away, head upstairs, closing the door behind me. I can hear her sob quietly through the thin walls, but my heart is numb. Days turn into weeks. We exist in the same house, but it's like living with a stranger. She tries her best to be kind, cooks my favorite meals, attempts small talk, even offers to watch a baseball game with me. I remain stoic. The turmoil rages inside, but I no longer show it. Eventually, Sarah stops trying. She resigns herself to the cold shoulder I provide. She sleeps in our bedroom. I stay in the guest room, or sometimes on the couch. At night, I lie awake, remembering all the times we curled up together, her head on my chest. The memory stings like a fresh cut every single time. In my chest, something has died. Or maybe it's transformed into something else, a silent fortress. I'm not sure how to define it, but I know I'm not the same man I was a month ago. One afternoon, the lab test envelope catches my eye on the coffee table, half buried under old newspapers. I reread it, scanning the words that confirm the paternal mismatch. She must have been uncertain whose child it might be, enough to test for it. Even though it turned out to be a false alarm, the knowledge taints everything. I find Sarah in the yard, watering the flowers she planted last spring. I step outside, the sunlight glaring off the metal watering can. She pauses, surprised to see me approach. I hold up the test result. "Why didn't you tell me you thought you might be pregnant?" Her face pales. She sets the watering can down slowly. I realized too late it was a false alarm. There was never a reason to tell you. It would have only hurt you. I grit my teeth. So you were protecting me by hiding your affair and a possible pregnancy. She flinches. "I'm sorry," she repeats. "Everything happened so fast. And I was so guilty, Michael. I couldn't face you." My hand trembles, clutching the paper. "You faced Tony, though. Enough to let him buy you matching bracelets. Enough to confide in him about the possibility of a baby." She blinks tears away. "Stop, please." Something inside me snaps, a surge of anger. "No, I won't stop. Because I'm done protecting your feelings. You keep telling me how sorry you are, how you never wanted this to happen. Well, it did happen. 7 months worth of betrayal. And I'm left here feeling like a fool in my own house." Her lip quivers, tears forming again. "I don't have an excuse, Michael. I hate myself for what I did. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness." Her raw confession saps my momentum, leaving me trembling with both fury and an odd pity. This is the woman I once adored, who stood with me through my father's funeral, who nursed me when I was ill. Yet now, she's the source of my deepest torment. I shake my head, swallowing hard. "I can't do this anymore, Sarah." She searches my face, panic flickering in her eyes. "What do you mean?" I turn and walk inside without another word, leaving her standing amidst the flowers, water dripping from the can onto the soil. My heart is a stone in my chest, dragging me deeper. That evening, Tony calls the house phone. I almost don't answer, but then something in me itches to pick up. His voice is subdued. "Michael, I just need to know if Sarah is all right." She won't answer my calls or texts. She blocked me, I think. My grip tightens on the receiver. "She's fine," I say icily. "And don't ever call here again. We're done with you." He tries to protest, but I slam the phone down. My breath hitches, and for the first time, I notice how my hands are shaking uncontrollably. Sarah rushes in, alarmed. "Was that Tony?" I whirl on her. "You gave him this number. Our home phone." "Jesus, Sarah." She looks stricken. "He used to call about work, or, well, about us." "I'm sorry." I force myself to breathe. "I don't want to hear his name again. Do you understand?" She nods, tears in her eyes again. I hate those tears, hate how they make me feel guilty for my rage. At times, I want to leave, to pack a bag and vanish. But there's a stubborn streak in me that refuses to abandon my own house. This is my life, my domain, or it was. And if anyone should leave, it's her. But she stays, tiptoeing around me, making half-hearted efforts to atone. Meanwhile, a slow, poisonous desire for retribution grows in my chest. I start fantasizing about ways to show Tony, that I'm not the pathetic bystander they think. My mind swirls with images of confrontation, maybe trashing Tony's fancy car, or calling his boss with some scandal. But none of those fantasies truly satisfy the black hole in my gut. I remember a phrase Sarah once told me in a sweet moment years ago. "You're my rock, Michael. I can't imagine life without you." Now I recite it in my head and feel only the bitter aftertaste. Late one night, I dream of the day we got married. I see her walking down the aisle, that radiant smile. Tony's face is in the crowd, mocking me. Then the dream shifts, and we're in our bedroom. She's lying beside me, but when I reach for her, she fades like smoke. I jolt awake, sweat-soaked and disoriented, the darkness pressing in. I lurch off the couch, swallowing the knot in my throat. My chest hurts. I glance at the mantel where the photos used to be. My breathing is ragged. I realize I've lost the man I once was, a calm, trusting soul who believed in the sanctity of marriage. In this moment, I feel I could become anything, something darker, more vengeful, or I could become a hollow shell. Quietly, I slip on a pair of shoes, leash Baxter, and head outside. It's after midnight, the street's deserted. We walk under the dim glow of streetlights. The air is still and warm. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks, answered by another. Baxter pads alongside me, happy for the attention, oblivious to my turmoil. I find myself near the old park at the edge of our neighborhood. There's a small pond, reflecting the moon's pale light. I stand there, inhaling the scent of water and grass. My mind churns, trying to process the fact that my wife of over 20 years has been unfaithful for nearly 7 months. A soft breeze rustles the trees. I kneel, letting Baxter sniff around the grass. My eyes sting, and for the first time in years, I feel tears trickle down my cheeks. I'm a grown man, 50 years old, kneeling by a pond in the dead of night, crying like a broken child. Baxter looks at me, concerned. I bury my face against his fur, letting the sobs come. I don't know how long I stay there, but by the time I head back, my tears have dried, replaced by a cold, trembling resolve. I may be broken, but I also feel a peculiar strength in the realization that I have nothing left to lose. In the following days, Sarah grows more desperate. She knocks on the guest room door at night, asking to talk. Sometimes, out of sheer exhaustion, I let her in. We sit on opposite ends of the bed, and she tries to salvage something out of this wreck. She says things like, "I remember the first time you took me camping in Ohio. You tried to fish, but you ended up snagging your own sleeve. We laughed all night." Her voice is choked with nostalgia. I stare at my hands, remembering that memory too. It used to be precious to me. Now, it's overshadowed by her betrayal. "Why are you telling me this?" I murmur. She swallows. "Because we had so many good years. I can't believe they just disappeared. I'm not ready to give up on us." I grunt. "You gave up on us the moment you said yes to Tony." She flinches, tears shimmering. Then she nods, standing up. "I won't push you anymore. I'm sorry." Her voice breaks, and she leaves. I sit there in the half-darkness, heart pounding with a mixture of grief and a strange, hollow satisfaction. She's hurting. Maybe a part of me wants her to hurt, but it doesn't make me feel better. 2 weeks later, a small brown envelope arrives in the mail, addressed to me. No return address. I open it cautiously. Inside is a single photograph. A candid shot of Tony and Sarah at some event, arms around each other, smiling as if they share a secret. My stomach churns. On the back of the photo is scrawled a note. "Did you really think she'd stay loyal?" My blood runs cold. Someone is trying to rub salt in the wound. Tony. Or maybe some other colleague who relishes gossip. I crumple the photo, but the image is burned into my brain. That evening, Sarah tries to approach me about the day's mail. I don't bring up the photo. Something in me says, "Don't let her see you rattled." I keep quiet, a simmering anger coiled in my chest. Time drags on in that excruciating limbo. One night, I overhear Sarah crying in our bedroom, telling someone on the phone that she doesn't know how to fix things, that she's afraid I'll leave. She begs them for advice, probably a friend or her sister. But I've changed. I'm not the man who used to relent at the sound of her tears. Something inside me is forging itself into steel. I replay Tony's drunken voice, the lab results, the humiliating meeting at the diner. Each recollection is a rung in the ladder I'm climbing, step by step, out of the pit of my old self. She tries to be near me sometimes, to share the couch or watch a show. I let her, but I make no move to comfort her. If she tries to lean her head on my shoulder, I stiffen. Eventually, she stops trying. At work, my colleagues notice I'm different. More abrupt, less patient. My boss pulls me aside, asks if everything's okay. I muster a polite lie. Just going through some personal stuff. Nothing to worry about. He nods, unconvinced, but leaves it at that. Inside, I'm burning. I want revenge, some kind of twisted justice. I keep imagining Tony's smug face. I do a little digging online. See that Tony's company has a big product launch coming up. My mind conjures fantasies of sabotage, of leaking some rumor to ruin him. But then, on second thought, I wonder if I even want to stoop that low. Vengeance might feel good for a minute, but would it truly help? Yet the daydream of seeing him crumble is addictive. I can't help it. One evening, I sit in the living room, sipping whiskey. Sarah sits across from me, silent. After a while, she says, Tony left the nonprofit project. He transferred it to another colleague. I think he's backing off, so we can heal. I stare into my whiskey, swirling the amber liquid. Heal. Like a cut on your finger. She frowns, but doesn't snap back. She just says, I'm sorry. I laugh, a short, bitter sound. You keep saying that. We lapse back into quiet. Eventually, she rises, heading upstairs. I notice she moves slowly, as if weighed down by regret. A part of me hates seeing her like that, weak and guilty. Another part of me thinks, good, let her feel it. Months pass. The scandal of it still glows hot under the surface, but we develop a routine of coexisting. We speak superficially about groceries, bills, her part-time PR tasks, my marketing job. She claims she no longer sees Tony, that she told him never to contact her. I have no proof otherwise. One Saturday, I'm in the garage, rummaging through old boxes. I find a dusty photo album from our younger days. Me and Sarah at the Grand Canyon, me grinning in a cheap baseball cap, her arms around my waist, wind whipping her hair. My throat constricts. I slam the album shut. That night, I place a large trash bag in the living room and start tossing in items that remind me of us. Old love notes, souvenirs from trips, anniversary cards. Sarah walks in, alarmed. What are you doing? She asks, voice trembling. I shrug, keep tossing things in. Decluttering. She tries to grab one of the notes. Eyes wet. You're throwing away our memories. My stomach twists. What good are memories, Sarah? They're lies now. Just illusions I clung to. She looks as if I slapped her. Michael, that's all we had. We had good years, a life together. Don't erase it. I pause, holding an old birthday card with her handwriting in it. My chest feels tight. She wrote, for my husband, my best friend. I love you more every day. I swallow hard, then drop it in the trash bag. She stands there, silent tears streaking her cheeks. I tie off the bag, put it by the door. My hands are shaking. I can't meet her eyes, or I might break. The next morning, I find Sarah in the kitchen, looking at me with a new determination. I have to tell you something. I brace myself. What? She wets her lips. I'm leaving for a while. I found a counseling retreat up north, for couples or individuals struggling after infidelity. I don't want to push you to join me, but I need some perspective. I need to figure out how to fix myself. I'm not running away, I promise. I just can't stand seeing what I've done to you. A lump forms in my throat. You think a retreat is going to fix this? She closes her eyes. I don't know, but I want to try something, anything. And if it helps me become someone who deserves your forgiveness one day, then it's worth it. Silence. She's waiting for me to protest, to argue. But I feel strangely numb. Maybe it's better if she's gone for a while. Fine, I say, turning away. She picks up her suitcase, the same one she's used for all these so-called work trips. My gut knots at the memory. She hovers in the doorway, looking at me. I love you, Michael. I don't answer. I hear her footsteps fade. Then the door closes. I stand there, face set like stone. I remember the day she left for that project with Tony. The same sense of emptiness, but now laced with a flicker of relief. At least I won't have to see her sad eyes for a while. Won't have to endure the tension under the same roof. Weeks pass in her absence. The house is eerily quiet. I still feed Baxter, go to work, come home, watch TV, read the newspaper. But there's a new sense of space, a vacuum where her presence used to be. At night, I lie awake on the couch, mind wandering. Sometimes I think about calling her, but a stubborn pride keeps my phone silent. Then one afternoon, another package arrives, addressed to her. The label is from some jewelry company I don't recognize. My pulse spikes, memories of the last package twirling in my head. I bring it inside, stare at it for a long time. Finally, I tear it open. Inside is a black ring box, a single slip of paper. Tony. It says, scribbled in a masculine scrawl, "Sorry for everything. Thought you might want this back." I open the box. It's the bracelet with her initials, the one I saw months ago. SG inside the band. I notice an inscription I never saw before. All my love. I feel a rush of fury and humiliation. Even after everything, Tony is still playing mind games, or maybe he's just returning the useless token. Either way, the sight of it makes my stomach lurch. I hurl it into the trash, slam the lid. My hands shake as I read and reread that note. Sorry for everything. Thought you might want this back. A twisted apology or a final jab. I can't even decide. I wrestle with the idea of calling Sarah to confront her about it, but what good would it do? She's at her retreat, presumably trying to piece herself together. Maybe Tony is the one actually letting go. I stand there, breathing hard. And slowly, I realize how exhausted I am from anger. It's drained me of joy, color, hope. My parents died years ago, leaving me with a sense of responsibility to keep a stable life. That stability is gone. The illusions are shattered. All that remains is me. I recall a phrase from a self-help book someone gave me after my father's funeral. Sometimes the only way forward is to let go. It sounded cliché then. Now I wonder if it holds some truth. But how do I let go of betrayal this deep? Eventually, Sarah returns from her retreat. She looks thinner, paler, but there's a steadiness in her eyes I haven't seen in a long time. She sets her suitcase down inside the door, glances at me with caution. "Hello, Michael." I nod stiffly, crossing my arms. She steps closer, and I can see a trembling in her hands. I learned a lot these past weeks. About myself, about the damage I've done. I keep silent, letting her talk. She continues, voice strained but earnest. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I'm determined to make amends, to be honest, and to face whatever consequences come." I swallow, my throat feeling like sandpaper. "I got a package for you," I say quietly. "From Tony." She closes her eyes briefly. "Can I see it?" I shake my head. I threw it away. She nods, tears gathering. "All right. That's fair." We stand in silence, the tension crackling. I can sense a shift in her, a resignation or acceptance. She's not pleading or making excuses now. She's just waiting for whatever I decide. That night, I sleep in the guest room. She sleeps in the bedroom. The next morning, I notice she's tidied the house, done laundry, made coffee, as if trying to restore some semblance of normalcy. But normal died months ago. Days pass, and she respects my distance. I come home to find her reading quietly or finishing paperwork for her new job. She's left the nonprofit. She's doing some freelance PR, smaller clients. No more late nights, no mysterious phone calls. One evening, she approaches me in the living room, carefully standing a few feet away. "Michael, I need to ask you something. Do you see any chance for us? Or should I move out?" My heart clenches. I don't answer immediately. My gaze flickers to the mantel, still empty of photographs. Then to Baxter, dozing by the couch. Finally, I say, "I don't know." She nods, tears brimming. "I understand. If you want me to leave, I'll go. Just say the word. But if there's even a fraction of hope, I want to fight for us." A raw laugh escapes me. "Fight? Where was that fight when you were with him?" She flinches but meets my gaze. "I was weak. I lost myself. I'm not proud of it. But I'm here now, willing to do the hard work." I feel a flicker of that old anger. Hard work. "You should have done that instead of letting him into your bed." Silence. She murmurs, "I know." I shake my head, turning away. The conversation ends. And so we live in this fragile truce. Each day, I sense her efforts. Cooking extra meals, asking how my day went, offering to watch a baseball game with me. I keep a wall up, uncertain if I even want to let her in again. But part of me, maybe the part that loved her for decades, starts to crack. I see her kneeling in the garden, replanting some flowers, tears sliding down her cheeks as she works. She doesn't realize I'm watching from the window. She's whispering something, maybe a prayer or apology. My chest tightens painfully. Some nights, I recall how we used to talk for hours, how she once urged me to pursue my dream of opening a small consultancy. I regret never doing it. Instead, I stayed safe in my marketing job, letting the years roll by. Meanwhile, she drifted, seeking excitement in Tony's arms. This reflection sparks a new flame in me, not just anger, but a desire to reclaim something lost. I think about vengeance, about how I might get back at Tony. But now, it feels empty. Punishing him won't heal me. Eventually, I reach a tipping point. A letter arrives from Sarah's old nonprofit, praising her for her work and inviting her to rejoin for a new project. She shows it to me, face uncertain. "I'm not taking it," she says quietly. "I don't want any ties to that life. I just want you to know they offered, and I declined." I stare at the letter, at the polite invitation, then at her trembling fingers. "Why are you telling me this?" She swallows. "Because I promised no more secrets. I told them I can't work there. Not after everything." In that moment, I see the cost of her affair in her eyes. A deep guilt, and a willingness to sacrifice the career she once enjoyed, just for a chance at rebuilding my trust. It strikes me how far she's fallen from the confident woman she once was, and something in me softens, just a fraction. "All right," I say, "I can't manage more than that." She sets the letter aside, blinking back tears. "Thank you for listening." Despite my guarded stance, a thread of communication opens. We speak more often, if only about daily routines. One weekend, Sarah quietly suggests we see a counselor. I scoff initially, but after some thought, I agree to a single session, just to see. At the counselor's office, an older man with silver hair listens patiently as we unravel the story. Sarah is contrite. I'm bitter. The counselor asks me, "Michael, what do you need to feel safe again?" I grit my teeth. "How about a time machine?" I snap, half sarcastic. He nods kindly. "I understand. But we both know that's not possible. What, in reality, could move you forward?" I can't answer. I just sit there, jaw clenched, while Sarah stares at me with tearful eyes. Finally, I manage. "I don't know if I can forgive this." The counselor inclines his head. "That's fair. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. It's a choice. But do you want to try?" Do I want to try? The question echoes in my mind for days after. Meanwhile, I keep expecting Tony to reappear, some phone call or text. But nothing. He's gone silent. Rumor has it, he's traveling for work, or maybe got a promotion at that tech company. Part of me hates that he's just moving on with his life, unscathed. One afternoon, a coworker invites me for a beer. We sit at a local bar, the kind with sticky floors and neon signs. He asks me how life is at home, noticing I've been off. I find myself pouring out half-truths, saying my marriage hit a rough patch. I don't mention Tony or the affair. My coworker nods sympathetically. It's tough, man. But if anyone can work through it, it's you. I feel a pang. He has no idea. That night, I come home to find Sarah in the living room, fiddling with something on the coffee table. She looks up as I enter. I ordered takeout. Chinese. Thought maybe we could. Her voice fades. She's uncertain. I sigh, exhausted. Sure, I say gruffly, surprising even myself. We sit at the table, opening paper cartons of fried rice, sweet and sour chicken. The aroma triggers old memories of date nights. The tension between us is thick as we eat in silence. Finally, she musters courage. Thank you for sharing a meal with me. I glance at her. It's just food, Sarah. She nods, blinking back tears. We finish our dinner quietly, and for the first time, I notice how lonely I've been, angrily isolating myself for months. The next counseling session, I'm less hostile, though still guarded. The counselor suggests an exercise. Write down one memory that was good, and one memory that hurts. Sarah, and I do this. She writes something down, tears falling onto the paper. When it's my turn, I describe the corporate function where Tony was present, how I felt proud to be by her side, only to learn later she was sneaking glances at him, forging a bond behind my back. That memory is a double-edged sword, slicing me open. In the weeks that follow, we continue counseling. Some sessions are brutal, full of raw admissions. Others are calmer. Slowly, I see glimmers of the woman I once loved. She's remorseful, yes, but also determined to prove she can be trusted. She shares her phone password, her schedule, invites me to join her whenever she meets anyone. I'm still not sure if it's enough, but I notice my anger isn't consuming me the way it used to. One afternoon, I drive to a nearby park after work. I sit on a bench, staring at a baseball diamond where kids are practicing. Tony's face intrudes on my mind, his confident grin at that diner. The memory tightens my jaw. I close my eyes, recalling the counselor's words. Forgiveness isn't mandatory, but it's a choice. I picture confronting Tony again, yelling at him, maybe even throwing a punch. But in every scenario, I end up feeling empty afterward. Suddenly, I sense a wave of something like release. The kids' laughter on the field, the cool breeze rustling the trees. It all reminds me there's more to life than this betrayal. I can't explain it, but I feel a small measure of calm settle in my chest. That evening, Sarah finds me in the living room. She stands there, twisting her hands. Michael, I want you to know that if you can't forgive me, I'll understand. I'll move out. I won't hold you hostage to my guilt any longer. I watch her. She looks exhausted. She's offered me an out effectively. If I want a divorce, she won't fight it. 100 emotions war in me. Anger, sadness, longing, bitterness, faint hope. Eventually, I say, I'm not ready to throw away 2 decades of marriage. Not yet. Her eyes widen. Does that mean you're willing to try? A lump rises in my throat. Try, yes, but don't expect me to bounce back to the man I was. That man is gone. Tears gather in her eyes. I understand. Thank you. Even if we fail, thank you for trying. In the days that follow, we attempt a tentative reconciliation. We speak more openly in counseling, revisit old places that meant something to us. It's painfully awkward at first, laced with reminders of her infidelity. But slowly, we find a cautious rhythm. I decide to pick up an old hobby, fishing. Something about the patient waiting soothes my jumbled mind. Sarah occasionally asks to join, standing on the bank as I cast a line. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we just watch the water in silence. She confesses her fear. that I'll never truly move past Tony, that I'll resent her forever. I don't lie. I tell her it's possible I might. But I also tell her I'm no longer consumed by the thought of him every waking minute. One evening, out of the blue, Tony calls my cell. I hesitate, staring at the screen, then answer. He sounds subdued. "Hey, Michael. Look, I wanted to let you know I'm leaving Dallas for a while. Job transfer. I'm heading out of state. I just thought you should know." I grip the phone. "All right." He exhales. "I'm sorry, man. For everything. I know that probably doesn't help." I glance at Sarah, who's in the kitchen, making tea. "I don't need your apology," I say evenly, but not with the fury I once held. "Just stay away from us." He's silent a moment. "Understood." Then he hangs up. I feel a strange relief, like a final door closing on that chapter. Weeks roll into months. I attend counseling regularly with Sarah. We speak about boundaries, trust, how to rebuild. It's not a fairy tale. Sometimes I wake up at night, haunted by images of them together. Sometimes I lash out, or we fall into painful silences. But overall, there's a sense that we're forging something new. A fragile, cautious bond built on the ruins of the old. I still keep the guest room as my personal space, though some nights I fall asleep on the couch and find her quietly covering me with a blanket. She never pushes further than I allow. On a crisp fall afternoon, we drive out to a little cabin by a lake. We used to go there in the early years of our marriage. The trees are turning gold and red, the sunlight dancing off the water. We stand on the shore. She takes my hand, tentative. I don't pull away. "I'm so sorry," she whispers again, voice trembling. "I'll be sorry for the rest of my life." I stare at the rippling water, my throat tight. Then I reply in a low, uneven voice. "I know." I can feel her grip tighten gently, as if hoping for some sign of acceptance. The old me might have told her everything was okay, that we'd get through this, but the new me is more guarded, more cautious. Still, I give her hand a slight squeeze back, a tiny gesture of my willingness to move forward, no matter how slowly. We spend that weekend fishing, talking, sometimes just sitting quietly watching the lake. I let her in on some of the anger I've been holding, admitting how I wanted to destroy Tony, how I fantasized about leaving her with nothing. She doesn't flinch or try to justify herself. She just listens, tears slipping silently down her face. At one point, I crumble, telling her how worthless I felt, how humiliated. She wraps her arms around me, and for a moment, I allow it. The floodgates of grief open, and I sob into her shoulder. The sense of betrayal is still raw, but there's a faint comfort in the warmth of her touch. When we return home, life continues. Counseling sessions become a weekly routine. We talk about the future. She wonders if we can travel to see her parents in Florida for the holidays. I hesitate, uncertain if I want to pretend everything's normal in front of extended family. But eventually, I agree to think about it. One day, while rummaging through the closet, I come across the old photos I stashed. I flip through them, see glimpses of who we used to be. A pang of longing hits me so strong, I nearly buckle. Part of me wants that naive happiness back, even though I know it'll never be the same. I carry the photos downstairs, place them on the dining table. Sarah spots them, her eyes going wide. I brush off imaginary dust from the frames. "Maybe we can put a couple back on the mantel." She covers her mouth, tears brimming. She nods. Carefully, we choose one from our early years, smiling at the Grand Canyon. We place it on the mantel, side by side with a more recent photo from just a year ago, smiling at a friend's barbecue. It feels symbolic, bridging the past and the present, acknowledging the wounds but not erasing the history. The nights are still restless. I dream about betrayal, about that drunken phone call. But there's a growing space inside me for something else, a small flickering hope that maybe, just maybe, I can rebuild. Our final counseling session arrives months later. The counselor smiles softly. "You've both come a long way," he says. "The pain won't vanish overnight, Michael, but you seem determined to heal in your own time. Sarah squeezes my hand gently, and I don't pull away. We exchange a glance, a silent understanding that we're fragile but still standing. Back at home, as we settle into a quiet evening, Sarah sits next to me on the couch. She looks at me with earnest eyes. I don't expect life to be perfect. I only hope we can find a new way to trust each other. I take a long breath, feeling the weight of the months behind us. I remember Tony's voice, the lab test, the bracelets, all the shattered illusions. I've been destroyed, I say, voice trembling. But somehow, I feel stronger now. Like I know who I am, even if it hurts. She nods, tears slipping. You're the strongest man I know, Michael. I regret that it took something so terrible for me to see it. I close my eyes, resting my head against the couch. We sit there in a hush broken only by the ticking of the wall clock. My heart still aches with memories of betrayal. But there's also a cautious acceptance of the woman beside me. Broken, repentant, and still trying. In that moment, I realize I have a choice. I can cling to anger forever, or I can step into an uncertain future with her. I can't pretend the pain never happened, but maybe the scars can be part of our story without defining its end. I reach for her hand. She inhales sharply, surprised, then curls her fingers around mine. I stare at our hands, my larger, calloused one, her slender, trembling one. And I say, quietly, we'll move forward, one day at a time. She nods, tears trailing down her cheeks. Yes, one day at a time. Outside, I hear the faint sound of wind rustling the trees, like a gentle promise of change. We remain there, hand in hand, tethered by a bond that's been tested to its core, but somehow refuses to break. In the hush of the living room, the final shards of a shattered life lie at our feet, but we look ahead. Even in the quiet devastation, there's a whisper of possibility. And it sounds like a second chance, no matter how fragile or hard-won it may be.